Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of a race podcast. This time it's going to be me, Mike, Nick, and my friend Thomas Chieferson over here. In this episode, we're going to be talking about every single driver and their year in review in order from where they ended up placing at the end of the season. And we're also going to touch upon some highlights of Lou, Max, and everyone. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so we're going to start from the back of the grid and move our way up towards first place. The first person we have to talk about is none other than the legend himself, Nikita Mazepin.
What's up, everybody? This is Thomas Chieferson here, and the first driver we're going to talk about is Mazepin, who I don't even think should be a driver. After his what happened over the summer with that girl and stuff. I don't even think he should actually be here. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm gonna pass it over to Nick here.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it his first year? So I don't know. Like, he did a pretty poor job, but we'll see what he can do next year, I guess, with a new car. Hopefully, a better car than what they had this year at Haas. We'll see.
Hey guys, Mike here. So I think that given what car he had, he did okay. Nobody really expected him to do that good, but where he kind of messed up is Schumacher was really outperforming him for qualifying and everything, and the person we're gonna talk about next outperformed him, and he only raced in 2 races, 2. So, besides that, we all know the reason why he's here. His dad has money, sponsorships. So, it's all just pretty much on Nikita's shoulders. If he can prove this next season that it's not just money and he has some skill, it just needs time, then it's a different story. But if he continues this way, then clearly he doesn't belong anywhere in F1.
Yeah, so the next driver in our list is Robert Kubica, which used to be a Formula 1 driver back in the day a few years ago. But unfortunately, he had a massive accident, so he was out for a while. This year, he was just a reserve driver, pretty much. And he raced in a couple of races, I think. Replacing Kimi Räikkönen, I think, when he had COVID and he couldn't race. Robert Kubica just stepped in and actually scored some points. That's how he ended up above Nikita Mazepin somehow.
So yeah, since Kubica was only in a few races, I don't think it was too eventful. But he still finished in the top 20, which is funny. But we're just gonna move on to Mick Schumacher, the son of the legendary Michael Schumacher. He's still in kind of bedridden after his accident and everything. But Mick had a great season. I think he was almost a whole second faster than Mazepin, overall, and I think that's legendary. I think he needs a better car under him, and hopefully after next year he'll get out of here.
Yeah, I think so too. Since we talked about Nikita Mazepin already, we can compare them together. So they had the same car. Actually, you could say Nikita had a better car because his dad bought him a chassis, right?
But the team had already bought one, and they put it on both of their cars. And then they gave it to Mick Schumacher. So they only had enough money, for one new chassis. And they tested it on both and gave it to Mick. I think he was faster. Mazepin's dad bought a new one.
They pretty much had the same car. So you see that during the season, obviously they were going to be 19th, 20th, last place. But like you said, Mick at least showed, a little small, promise that he could perform a little bit. Just comparing to his buddy Nick Schumacher. I mean, what's his name? Only comparing him to Nikita Mazepin. But if you compared him to anybody else, I still think he didn't do that good. But see, we don't really know because his car is not up to the standard. So how can you really judge how good they are if obviously their car is way slower? Yeah. Damn, that's like if I had a Prius and I was going up against a Lambo. No matter how good of a driver I am, the Lambo is just faster.
So the next driver to talk about is the Italian Jesus, Antonio Giovinazzi, who's going to be actually leaving after this year. I think he's going to go race in Formula E, actually. So that's going to be cool to watch him still on the track. And he had a few years, I think, with Alpha. Nothing to run home about. I think he had a few good points finishes. But I think this year what hurt him is that he didn't have a contract already set for next year, so he was like trying to prove himself, and it didn't come out till the end. And then I know one of you guys had something to say about his hair or something.
Yeah. Of course, Gio was a okay driver. I mean, he's good. You never know what it was. Like, could have been his like mental toughness or something. He just couldn't perform. But I was watching people get interviewed, and they were asked about Gio, and everybody had to say he was a good guy. He's a really nice guy. And it was funny. Somebody mentioned it. I forgot who. But they were saying that Gio said he would change his hair if he got on the podium or if he got first. And he didn't end up getting first or a podium. So he ended up keeping his long hair. I remember for the last episode, too, they were, like, saying bye to him. And the first thing he did when he saw the person he was telling about not cutting his hair, he, like, let his hair down. And they were taking pictures of him.
Majestic.
Yeah, but anyways, he'll do fine. I think because he experienced F1, and F1 is so competitive and it's the top of like motorsport, him going to different leagues, what do you call it, leagues or formulas?
Yeah, different formulas.
Yeah, him going to different formulas, he might have an advantage. He might be like the better one. You see what happened to Grosjean and Ericsson?
They went to IndyCar?
Yeah, IndyCar, and now they're doing good in IndyCar. So
Nick DeVries, he just won the championship this past year.
wait, Nick DeVries is on there?
Yeah, Nick DeVries. I think he was racing at McLaren or something, but he had like a year, I think, in F1, didn't he?
I think so.
Or if not, maybe I'm misremembering. But point is that he actually won the championship in Formula E this past year. So he's the reigning champion. I think he's reserve driver for Benz, and like he was like considered for the other seat and like
That's probably
for Bottas.
What do you think? You think he'll take over after Nick DeVries?
Take over whose spot?
I think Nick DeVries will take over Hamilton's spot after he retires, or if he retires this year. So there's rumors.
He might, but then that would be two fresh drivers at Mercedes. So I don't know how that will work out for them.
But anyways, moving on from the Italian Jesus, we're moving into the next place, which is Latifi. Lat. Get your lats ready for Latifi. All right, Nick, what do you have to say about Latifi? I know you have some comments because he's in some ways he was the MVP of the last race. So take it away.
Yeah, to be quite honest, I didn't really pay attention that much to Nicholas Latifi throughout the season. But I know that his homie George Russell out-qualified him most of the time. I mean, he's an okay driver. He's not terrible, but like he's not anything crazy in my opinion. But other than that, the fact that he helped Max Verstappen win the championship this past weekend, he crashed into the wall. He was racing Mick Schumacher. Unfortunately, he just slipped out. But hey, it happens. It's racing, and it caused a massive dramatic end to the championship.
Hey Thomas, would you say this is the most important thing that Latifi has done in his whole career?
I think it probably is. He was. I think we got to thank Mick Schumacher. To be honest, he was racing Latifi hard, made him slide off.
You were saying he's gonna save his dad.
Exactly. He prevented the eighth. So I think yeah. To answer your question, I don't think Latifi's gonna do much else. Hopefully the Williams is a little better, but I still think Albon's gonna smack him up.
It's pretty funny that he's in a Williams Mercedes, and he pretty much ruined the Merck's race.
You're right. That's clean.
All right, we're moving up one more step. The next person we're going to talk about, I would argue, is out of the ones we've talked about so far, this is the first one where he actually has like solid promise, and you can see it from where he's going to. Obviously, it's... Oh, I'm mistaken. I skipped somebody. We'll save that for next one, but this guy's a legend too. He's been in it for a really long time. What is it, like 20 years?
Something like that. I know it's like 3 different eras.
Yeah, and you can take a guess who it is. It's Kimi Räikkönen. So Kimi is a legend, and I think we should all just go around and just talk about what he brought and what he changed about F1 after he joined.
Since you guys kind of already touched on Räikkönen in the last video, everyone go check that out. That was a banger of a podcast, first episode. But I think my favorite moment about Räikkönen was, I think it was Spa, when he was going down Eau Rouge at like top speed, and then there was like some kind of crash at the top, and it was all smoky. You couldn't see anything, and he didn't lift off the gas. He just full sent it through the smoke and came out unscathed. That was probably my favorite. But since you guys already talked about it, we'll move on to George Russell, who, as Mike was saying earlier, has a lot of promise moving to Mercedes next year. So hopefully, if Lewis sticks around, hopefully he gives him a hard time so Max can win another one. And then I'm going to pass it off to you guys. I want to hear your guys' opinions on Russell.
Do you think he's going to live up to the hype?
I think George Russell's a pretty good driver. He qualified pretty well a few of the races. Got him, pretty high up there compared to his teammate.
What was it, P2? It's
Yeah, so I think he has some pretty good promise in a Mercedes, which is a way better car. But to be fair, though, the regulations are changing, and he's a new guy to the team. So I feel like he's going to have a lot of adapting to do, working with a massive team like Mercedes-Benz.
Going into Hamilton's
Yeah, just to add to that, what Nick said. So I agree that Russell is up there as far as talent. He's really talented, and he showed that last year he could perform. He even showed that he could perform in Valtteri's spot. But I would argue that he still has to show that he can be consistent over, 22 races now? 23. Because if this year proved anything, it's that any points left on the table, Red Bull is going to come scoop all of them up. And if he leaves points up for grabbing, then Sergio Perez might come through. Anyone else might come through. So that Constructors' Championship, that streak they have going, it's looking in danger right now. So potentially we could probably even see a Red Bull next year winning drivers and constructors.
Hope so.
Did you have any thoughts, or did you already touch on it?
I think that Russell will probably take a few points away from Hamilton, so it'll make the title fight closer. But we'll see with those new regs. We'll see the new cars and everything. But I'm ready to move on.
Do you think Toto Wolff will let that slide for Russell?
Maybe.
He's gonna do like the second version of Bottas, where he just helps Lewis.
No, I think George has too much of a strong attitude to be a second driver. I think maybe initially, maybe for the first half of the season or something, he might kind of keep it low key to see how the team works and everything. But he's tested for them. He raced for them last year. He's their reserve driver. I think he's already well enough integrated where he's gonna step in and immediately have a presence. But yeah, I don't think he'll be a number one driver. But I don't think he'll be on the same level that Bottas was, where he's just kind of like a wingman.
He's a better team player.
Yeah, I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
But next we'll move on to Tsunoda.
Yeah.
It looks like Mike has something to say about Tsunoda.
I got something to say, but I'll let Nick go first because he's next in line, and I'm just gonna let this thought fester in my head.
I honestly like Yuki Tsunoda. He's a good driver. He started off pretty good in the beginning of the season. Had a little bit of bad luck, bad races in the middle, but came back pretty strong in the end. The last race where he got P4. That was probably the best performance of his career so far. The last race.
That was an exclamation point to his season. Yeah, me personally, I didn't really care for Tsunoda. I can't say his name, but anyways, Tsunoda. In the beginning, I was like, whatever, this guy's whatever. But then towards the end, I started watching the videos of him and Pierre on the AlphaTauri YouTube channel. And I don't know, they just have such a weird combo together. I just want to laugh every time they meet up together to do something. But yeah, I think he also has promise. This is kind of I can compare him to Mick Schumacher and Nikita, even though he has a better package. But similar for him, he had to perform this season. And then he didn't perform in the beginning, but he proved that towards the end he could step up and he could actually deliver some points. So that's looking promising for him next season. I think next season, if he starts in the way he ended the season, then he might be someone to stay in the AlphaTauri team and deliver some results. But hey, we'll see regulations changing like we touched on already. So with anything we say today, you never know if it's gonna be real or not, because
Latifi could win next
yeah, what if Latifi comes through and he wins the championship? You never know, man. Canadian money. But anyways, that was Tsunoda. That was very eventful for an uneventful driver. And we'll move on to the next one. Who's next?
Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll. All right, Nick. You want to say something about Lance?
I much about Lance.
You don't know about Lance?
I don't know much about Lance. Thomas, you know about Lance?
I think Lance kind of had another uneventful season. He was just kind of there. I think he beat fucking. Hey, we don't edit over here. We're raw. I think he did pretty good against Vettel. He kind of held him back. Like he kind of held him back in some races. Kind of lost out in some races, but I think he just had an uneventful season overall. I don't know if you guys want to say something.
So we're talking about Lance, and I just have a couple thoughts about Lance. I don't know why I said Lance so many times. Lance. So the previous seasons when Lance had a decent car, I think he performed as well as he should, like the bare minimum of what he should do. But this year, I don't think his car is as good as it was last year. We see Vettel also not struggling, but he wasn't scoring as many points as he usually would either. But then he is kind of old, so I can't really tell with Lance. I think maybe if he had a better car, he could do a little better, especially since towards the end, I don't know why, but I just remember a lot of calls between him and his directors or whatever they're called about tire failures or car failures, retirements. So I don't know. I don't know about Lance. I still put him above like Mick Schumacher and Mazepin. I think Lance is better than them. Yeah.
Bold.
It's bold, but hey, man, I don't know. He has experience too now. I mean, from his dad, of course. This is what I was talking about when I was saying like, either you use the money to your advantage or you Nikita Mazepin it. Because you could okay, so Lance had some bad performances, but he's also had some good performances.
He had that pole
Hold on,
last
hold on.
year.
Thomas has something to say. He got really angry over there. He was moving around. He's gonna fight me.
Dude, I think that Stroll is better than Mazepin, Giovinazzi, Latifi, but I don't think he's better than Mick Schumacher because he was F2 champion the year before he came in. He was showing like some fast laps in that Ferrari that he tested. I think it was like his dad's Ferrari or something. So I think I definitely don't think he's better than Mick Schumacher. But you're right. Stroll has like some good standout performances. He had that pole in Turkey last year, I think. So I think he does have like some standout performances, but I don't think he'll be more than that. Kind of just like a top tier midfield or like a midfield driver. Not even top tier. I would say I put him like maybe like 11th or 12th on the list.
I was just gonna say it's a good thing this is recorded because next year we can see what happens.
That's right.
So me and Thomas have an ongoing. I don't know if it's a bet, but I'll bet $1 of noise money. You down?
5 of noise money.
All right, $5 of noise money that Lance in the next year does better than Mick Schumacher.
Oh, yeah, he's not hot. So I don't think
Okay, what do you want to say then? 2 years, 3 years?
I'd say 2 years.
Okay, so
2 years, see how they do next year. Yeah.
perfect. So within the next 2 years, if Lance does better than Nikita or better than Schumacher, Thomas has to pay me $5 of noise money.
I'll shake on that.
We're shaking on. It's not on video, but
It's recorded.
video coming soon. Yeah, Nick, do you want to hop in this? What do you think? It's getting pretty heated between me and Thomas. I don't know. We might fight.
You know what? I think Robert Kubica is gonna go first place next year.
Yeah, Robert. Woo! On that note, we'll move on because, yeah, Robert Kubica is not gonna win.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm ordering Postmates.
Yeah.
Postmates.
Sorry.
Sponsored by Postmates.
Yeah, one day sponsored by Postmates. Anyways, we'll just move up the list because why not? Who do we just do? Stroll. Anyways, next up on the list we have Mr. Ocon. For me, Mr. Ocon was very under the radar. I actually didn't really notice he was on the track most of the time. But then after the last race, when he got really close to a podium, but Mr. Porridge Man beat him out nearly, I was like, wow, like this guy actually scored some points. This guy got a podium. He almost got another podium. So I don't know. I don't have too much to say other than we'll see what happens next year because I hope he gets more results and I can talk about him.
In Saudi, he almost got the third place, right? But Bottas took it, or was that the?
That's Saudi or this race? Oh yeah, that's Saudi.
That was Saudi, right? Because he started like in P2 at one point. Yeah. Yes. But so Ocon had some good races. He didn't have anything crazy.
I think it's a good pair with Alonso too.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, they always finish next to each other. But I'm gonna let my man Nick over here explain the Alpine dynamic.
Yeah, I think Ocon is honestly like pretty up there. He's gonna be a contender in a few years for sure.
Whoa, that's bold.
For sure,
think
he's
he's gonna be a
learning from the best Fernando Alonso.
Okay.
I think they have a good team going there. I mean, he's like the OG. He's probably teaching him a lot.
I'll make you a bet too.
And like Ocon's the young guy, the young gun. He's pretty fast. He's kind of pushing Alonso, you know. But I think they're like pushing each other. You know, they're learning from each other.
By when do you think he'll be a contender?
Contender as in like
When he'll be fighting for race wins and race championships on a regular basis?
I wouldn't say with Alpine, but if he moves to a better team like Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull even.
He could go to Mercedes after Lou, but no, he just signed like a 4-year contract with Alpine.
But Alpine did good though. They were up there like
Alright.
P4.
Where'd they
like,
finish? Find out. I'll look that up.
It's right there.
No, Alpine.
Oh,
Alpine, the team. Well, behind AlphaTauri, so probably fifth.
Fifth or sixth.
Yeah, because Ferrari finished third.
Mm.
Yeah, you're right.
P5 is pretty good.
Yeah,
Middle of the grid.
I like that.
Yeah, moving on. We're getting pretty close to the top now. I think we're maybe halfway. And you guys guessed it. Not guessed it, but you guys already touched on it. The next person on the list is Fernando Old Man Alonso. Old man, but he's still good, right? Like, I still like watching him race. He's a savage. He doesn't give up anything. Yeah, it was funny too. I was watching a Max video, and he was saying how he's gotten really close to Alonso over this year. Somebody asked him, out of all the OGs, who do you compare yourself the most, or out of all the racers, who do you resonate with the most? And he said Alonso, which was surprising to me. I thought he would say Senna or Schumacher because of his aggressiveness. But I guess you could say Alonso is pretty aggressive too. So, man, he's getting the praises from the new face. So he's going to have to get the approval from me. What do you have to say, Thomas?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Alonso and Verstappen are pretty similar because the same way that Verstappen kind of pulls these like performances out of these cars, because like for example last year the Red Bull wasn't as fast as it should have been, but Max kind of had it up there right behind Lewis, and that's kind of what Alonso did, I think, with the Renaults. He was battling Michael Schumacher, like an OG legend. He was pulling like out of the Ferraris in the 10s, like the 2010s, 2015, like he was pulling some performances out of those Ferraris. So I think it's a pretty apt comparison. I think it's also funny. Alonso like collects a bunch of people's helmets. So he'll like go helmet swap with everybody.
Yeah, even this year Alonso was like battling with the top guys. He had a good battle with Hamilton for a good battle, holding off Hamilton for Ocon to win his first victory probably.
Yup, that's the old legendary man, Alonso.
Hopefully he sticks around for a long time.
Yeah, I know. I want to see Alonso, like you said, I want to see Alonso as one of those like Kimi guys who just stays around forever.
I think he had like 300 race starts, Kimi.
Damn, 300. Yeah, and then like even for Alonso, I could see him going to something else after. He's just gonna be like that 60-year-old that's just racing in the dirt somewhere, like
That's the dream.
yeah, in some low-key formula, not even a formula, probably just for fun.
It's gonna be us when we're 60.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, that's gonna be us since we didn't race as kids, so we're gonna race in esports and like random leagues. But anyways, moving up from Alonso, we're gonna move on to Pierre Gasly. Pierre, what do you have to say about Pierre?
Pierre Gasly is a good race driver, man. He has good pace. He's fast. He's young. He has a good future, I think. Champion maybe one day.
I don't know. We're saying everyone's a champion.
I don't think Gasly would be a champion. He's good, but I don't think he can handle the pressure. He joined Red Bull when he was only like his second year, I think, or like the second half of his first year or whatever. but he's matured a lot more this year. But we'll see how he handles the pressure. Maybe I don't think he'll get another opportunity at Red Bull, but maybe he'll get another one at like another top team, an Alpine.
He sticks with AlphaTauri.
Do you think? I think he could stay with AlphaTauri, but I don't think he's.
Because if they get the Red Bull engine,
AlphaTauri could be going for third place, man.
yeah.
You think they could be third place? I think they could be fourth.
Third, maybe.
Um.
If Tsunoda and Gasly both perform like they've been
Yeah.
Yeah, if Sonoda steps up, he did good, like you said. First race where he got some points. His last race, he got fourth.
they're really learning.
They are learning.
Team, I think.
But I don't think he'll be champion. I don't think he can handle the pressure.
I don't know about champion, but like for sure some podiums, some wins, maybe a championship. You never know. You never know.
It'll be like Rubens Barrichello.
Let's see what Mike thinks about it.
I don't know about championships, but I just have to say for Pierre, because we're touching on Pierre, I think the Red Bull experience did help Pierre a lot more than I initially thought. When I was watching the Pierre and Yuki Tsunoda videos together, they were saying that Pierre was actually kind of like a, what do you call it? He was kind of like a mentor to Yuki, because Yuki's like this crazy energetic bunny, right? Short little guy running around. And I think Pierre was kind of like that calming presence in their team, because he's been at Red Bull, he's been at the top kind of. He fell, he came back down to middle of the pack team, but then he showed even in the middle of the pack team that he was pushing the top drivers in his middle of the pack car. So I think he really did learn a lot. I think this year was a stepping stone for him, because I can't say that he's fully there to be like the mentality of a champion and a leader, but I see the glimpses of him becoming a mature, proper racer. That's just my thoughts. Maybe who knows? Who knows? Maybe championship. You never know.
Pull the championship out of nowhere.
Yeah, he might be one of those guys who just wins one and just says peace and leaves. But from what it sounds like, if he retires, he's gonna play soccer. He's a big soccer fan.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen him play with Yuki. Like, even Yuki, bro. Like, Yuki plays soccer. I was like, where?
A little shorty.
Yeah, I want him on my team. Who wants to go? Who wants to say the next one?
I think you should,
Yeah, I
because
think
it's
you
your
gotta
favorite
say that.
driver.
Oh, let's see. I didn't even see who it was. Oh! I'm a stand-up.
You changed your opinion on this man.
I have to say, in the beginning of the season, me and Thomas over here would argue that Danny Rick was... Oh, yeah. Danny Rick. I thought the whole time his name was Danny Rick, but it's Ricky Rick.
No, it's Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo. See, I still don't know his name, but I'm a big fan now. Anyways,
Ricardo, I think, is like a little cartoon.
yeah. So Thomas was saying that Daniel Ricciardo is the top tier driver, and I was saying, nah, he'll never win again, never. But then I started getting on the train, and I'm like, this guy kind of resonates with me. He's a funny guy, always chill. And then he ends up pulling a 1 and 2 with McLaren, so I became an instant super Daniel Ricciardo fan after that. Thomas, what do you have to say? You're going crazy over here. We're both standing.
I agree. Danny Rick has always been a top tier driver. I think his time is coming to an end where he can win a championship. So unfortunately, I don't know if he can win another one. I hope he proves me wrong. But you're right. You changed your mind. You've accepted it. You've accepted Danny Rick into your life.
Yeah.
The honey badger.
The honey badger is in my life, dude.
But yeah, like you said, I think he had a good race in Monza. I think that really boosted his confidence. I think it was just kind of downhill already.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of bad luck. But he seemed happy in all his interviews and stuff. So I think we can expect some good things out of him. Maybe another win or two, some podiums. Hopefully challenging for some poles. I'm gonna let over here Nick have a little talk on Danny Rick, put some respect on his name.
Nick with Danny Rick. Dude.
Major respect on his name. He won his championship with the OG Red Bull.
Championship.
Didn't he, with Red Bull?
He didn't have a championship. He got podiums.
Oh, I thought he won a
has
championship
wins.
with
He has
Red Bull.
wins in Monaco.
Doesn't he have a championship, though?
Nah, 0.
Oh, man, I thought he had one on it.
See, that's how good he is.
Yeah,
I thought he had one with Red Bull when he was fighting with Max.
Nah, I think he had.
But anyways,
There's
he
a couple of races that messed him up, like Monaco,
I
and
think 2017 or
engine
18
troubles
came
because they had
close.
Renault. They had
Yeah, Renault, but it's funny he went to Renault after.
I know.
and he got a podium.
2 podiums.
But anyways, he was pretty solid at Red Bull.
He was good.
He should not have left. He would have won there.
No, he had to leave.
I agree. I think he had to leave.
They both had to grow in their own ways.
I
Max-
guess,
Max
but-
wouldn't
But
be
you're
who
right. He
is.
shouldn't have left.
He
You're
should
right.
not have
He
left.
should not have left.
If he was selfish and
But
he
he
just
needed
cared
to
about
leave.
the trophy, like he could have stayed. But because it was so weird between them, I think he had to leave.
You're right. He should have stayed, but
The dynamic was weird.
He needed to leave.
Yeah.
He was gonna be second class to Max. Like it was gonna be like Ferrari, where Vettel was kind of like second to Leclerc. But you're right. He should have stayed there. He could have fought for some wins.
Yeah, I don't know. I just when I was watching the Netflix series, it just seems like Danny Rick is that type of guy that he just needs that support from his team. He just needs that like positive morale from everybody around him. And at Red Bull, he was already feeling the pressure because Max is this young up and comer. So for him, it's like he was always gonna have that pressure of who's number one? Is it Daniel Ricciardo or is it Max Verstappen? But since he went to a different team and that team was around him, he was the number one, and he could thrive in that environment. So even though he didn't get the championship, I think even he will be happy with this decision because I could see how he's much more of a happy person now. And that the way that season was going and that fight was going, it wasn't Danny Rick. It wasn't the happy Danny Rick. The pressure was getting to him. But that was a lot about Danny Rick. He didn't do much, so we talked about him a lot in this episode. But we're gonna move up the list one more time, and I'll let my brother Nick talk about this guy. Ferrari.
Yeah, this honestly is probably one of my favorite drivers.
Really?
But he kind of disappointed this year. But still, he's good. Charles Leclerc in P7. Not P7, but 7th place
Yeah, finished P7.
in the championship. But he's pretty good, I think. And in the new year, I think Ferrari's going to have a pretty solid car.
Do you think he performed to his standards, or do you think he didn't perform to where he should be?
No, I think he did pretty good because him and Carlos Sainz were mostly together for most of the races, and Charles Leclerc had a few bad races. He had crashed out a couple times, which kind of affected his points. That's why Sainz is so much more ahead of him.
Dude, 3 places ahead.
But
2 places ahead.
like the Ferraris, the two guys were always together.
They were.
So I think he pulled his part in this year. But next year with the new car, I think they've been working on for a long time now. They're gonna be pretty good. I mean, 3rd place this year. They might be going higher next year. I would love to see a Ferrari championship again. That would be legendary. That would be legendary.
And it's Sainz. Imagine if Sainz wins the championship and not Leclerc with them. That'd be wild. But yeah, Leclerc did have some good kind of hidden results. Like he had some P4s that no one really talked about. But yeah, hopefully with the new regs, he has some good races. Because he's really good, especially at Alpha. He had like a good year with them. I think he had some points finishes. But I think Leclerc can do some big things. Mike over here wants to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to see when I see Leclerc after the races or whenever when he's getting interviewed, he seems kind of stressed in a way. I think Carlos coming to the team, he blended in right away with the car. So even Leclerc, I don't think expected Carlos to be competing with him. And also, like Nick mentioned, he did have some bad luck. But I feel like he has to get his mentality right too. He's still a young guy. And I think maybe that pressure of competing with Carlos Sainz is getting to him, so his performances are down a tad. That's why I was asking Nick if you think he performed to what he can do. And I think next year he'll understand that and he'll come back and he'll put up a bigger fight against Carlos Sainz, the smooth operator. We'll move it on to the next one, and I'll pass it back to my brother.
Dude, this has to be the most popular guy that is driving this like Formula One the last couple of years. Lando Norris from McLaren. I mean, this guy, dude, anywhere he goes, everyone's screaming his name, especially the girls.
Lando.
The girls for sure, but I mean, to be fair to Lando, they should be screaming his name because he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean he was up there, P2, P1, P3, a lot of the races.
Isn't he younger?
He's pretty up there.
Than all the other guys.
I think he's 22.
He's young. He's very young. They kind of fell off at the end of the year, McLaren, but
Some bad luck.
I think they had a pretty solid year, both of them, especially Norris. And I think next year, coming years for sure, he's gonna get better and better.
Yeah, I think Norris just has like that personality. I think that everyone likes. But yeah, he missed out on that P1 because he didn't want to switch to Inters. You got to be sad about that. But I think that's just like we're just waiting for that first win. It's not if it's gonna happen. It's more of like when. Yeah, for sure. I think Norris is a championship contender in a few years. But
You think next year he'll?
I don't know. If McLaren steps it up, I think he could next year, but for sure in the next 2-3 years, I think if he keeps it up. All right, Mike has a question. Let's hear it.
Do you think Lando can win it with McLaren, or will he have to leave McLaren to win his championship?
I think he can win with McLaren if they keep up kind of what they had at the beginning of the season, because they kind of started super strong. Lando had those like 2-3 podiums, and then they kind of fell off really big. So if they keep that good momentum going, it's kind of like Red Bull 2 years ago. They started off really weak, but then they finished super strong. So and then like this year they stepped it up. They started and finished pretty strong. So we'll see. Hopefully Norris. I think he can win a McLaren.
I was literally just gonna say that. When I see McLaren, I see a young Red Bull in a way. Like they're laying the foundation, and it looks clear from like the viewer's standpoint. But they still have to put in the work the next couple years to get to where Red Bull is now. But no doubt, I could see Lando, I feel like Daniel will stay for a minute. I think they could run it back like 2 years. I think they'll do something.
2 years, isn't he? Or is it just 1 year?
I have no idea. We'll see what he thinks. He might switch teams. You never know. But do you have any thoughts on Lando Norris and him having to leave McLaren to win a championship, or do you think he could do it on McLaren?
I think he can do it on McLaren. The Zach Brown guy, CEO of McLaren, when he stepped in, he really like made McLaren the team a lot better.
He built him up.
I mean, they were almost P3 this year. Yeah. Like that's pretty good, dude. So I think they can do it with Lando.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, in the meantime, let's move up to what place is this now? 5th?
Yes, sir. P5. Carlos Sainz.
P5. Carlos Sainz, the smooth operator. Before we talk about this guy's driving, I just have to say, as far as a character, I don't know why, he's just one of the funniest ones to me. Especially since his dad was also a racer. He brings like a different dynamic to F1, being the son of a famous driver.
His dad was world championship in rallying.
Yeah, world champion rallying. But at the same time, he doesn't act like I don't know how to explain. He doesn't act like Lance Stroll. Basically, he doesn't walk around like he's the ish. Like he walks around like a normal race car driver. I wouldn't know he had a famous dad. But besides that, I think his driving is good. I think what makes him better than most on the track is his ability to adapt to whatever car he's given. I think I don't know why, he just has like this mentality where no matter what car is given to him, he'll figure it out within, I don't know, a couple races and he'll be going. What do you think about Carlos?
Carlos is one of the best for sure. Like, and he's pretty young too. He seems kind of old, but he's not that old. He's pretty young.
He's like mature.
And I think he's a good teammate with Charles. And he did really good with Ferrari, so I think it's looking pretty promising for him. How do you feel, Thomas?
Definitely. I think Sainz kind of shown everybody that he was that kind of disprove what everyone thought of him. Everyone thought he was just going to go to Ferrari and kind of just be like a sidekick to Leclerc, but you got to commend how Mike was saying that he kind of switched really fast to that car. He stepped in and he was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. So and that showed at the end of the season. He finished in 5th place, just behind Red Bull and Mercedes, best of the rest. And I think that messed with Leclerc's mind, like you said earlier, because like you come into a team immediately, like a 4-time world champion is kind of thrown out the door for you, and then a new teammate comes in, and now you're kind of being shown up. So I think that kind of messed with his head. Exactly. So I think Sainz just kind of stepped in. Leclerc did have some bad luck. He like the crash in Monaco. He crashed again in something else. Yeah, he would have definitely won if he didn't crash in Monaco, but he did crash in Monaco. That's an error.
That's racing.
That's the pressure. So I mean, you could say that, oh, if he didn't crash, this would have happened, but it did.
Yeah.
And it's a mistake. So and Sainz didn't make as many mistakes. Yeah, he had a few slips, he had a few spins, but I think overall throughout the whole season, Sainz had a better, more consistent season, and that just showed at the end.
I would have to agree on that. I agree. I think Carlos Sainz did a little better, but I think it was the pressure. He was a little more built for the pressure. Yeah, but anyways, we'll see how the dynamic goes in the future, because there might be questions now of who's number 1. If Carlos keeps performing like this, then Ferrari might be like, hey, listen, Leclerc, you're good, but this guy came in here and he's performing way better. So we'll see what happens. And that's it for him. So we'll move on to the next driver. Oh my god, we just noticed something. We forgot about the OG Vettel, dude. I'm sorry, Vettel. Please don't get mad. I don't know, you're not going to listen to this, but you're an OG. We love you. We just forgot your name. So, yeah, who wants to touch on Vettel first? Here, Nick, touch on Vettel, man.
I'm eating.
Oh, he's eating his chips, man.
While Nick over here eats his corn nuts, sponsored by Corn Nuts, I'll touch on Vettel. Obviously, 4-time world champion. I think the car wasn't as good as he probably thought it was going to be. Like you said earlier, they kind of fell off from last year's momentum after copying Mercedes pretty much.
Yeah.
But again, hopefully next year, new rules for everyone. He kind of steps up. I think he lost some confidence after the whole Ferrari thing, and after last year Ferrari. But I think he's still definitely one of the GOATs. I think he can definitely step it up. Vettel world champion in the next 3 years.
Now that's bold.
No.
I mean, I know he has 4, but
He's gonna get 5, so he can go like this.
that's crazy.
You don't want to go like this.
I don't think he can do it with Aston Martin. But maybe if he goes back to Ferrari.
Hey,
3 years.
I disagree. I think he can do it with Aston Martin, because Aston Martin is they're new, right? They just got bought, so I feel like every year they're adding more to their production, and I know next year they're taking an even bigger jump. They're hiring more people to get their production better. So I do think their car might be a little better, but we still don't know because they're untested, right? So their car has potential of being good because they have the resources, but I don't know if they can actually pull it off. We'll see.
I got something to say about what you said about them becoming bigger. They're almost done with their new factory, which is supposed to be huge, and they've been swiping workers from every team.
Yeah.
They took some higher up Red Bull dude. They took I think one of the head aerodynamicists from Mercedes. Dude, they're poaching on teams. So I think Vettel in 3 years is definitely not crazy.
He made a good choice by going there, to be honest. I just want to say real quick, I think he made a good choice by going there, because if you compare this to a crypto, that team was at its lowest, right? So for him to invest at its lowest, and if he can stay for a little bit, the team might move up a lot. Any thoughts?
I think they're going to be a good team, but there's always better teams and faster drivers
Yeah, facts.
than Vettel. Vettel's getting old too. So.
You're only as good as your competition, right?
Alonso, and he's still fast.
True, but he's not as fast as Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez.
They were in the same car.
Yeah, but he's not in the same car, is he? He's in an Aston Martin.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. There's still competition, and the competition is fierce.
Yeah, you're right. Checo! finally got an opportunity at a top team. He showed what he was about. He might have started a little weak. I'll give him that.
He called it though.
He said it would take him 5 races. It took him more like 10, but we're going to leave that to the side. He's a big part of why Max won the championship. P4 in the championship. Held back Lewis, arguably is why Max was able to get up close and that whole debacle happened. But Checo Perez is a GOAT. I think he can do big things next year. I think
about that Mexico win.
where he got the P3.
Yeah.
I think that was legendary, seeing like the Mexican flag in Mexico and like all the fans just going crazy. His dad celebrating like he just won the world championship. It would have been nice to see another 1-2, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys are saying about my man Checo.
Dude, Checo's a legend. Like Max Verstappen said, Checo's a legend. And so is Checo's dad, dude. After the Mexican Grand Prix, like, he was so happy, but he's like, awesome, man. He's like, this is what we wanted, but now we want Max Verstappen to win the championship.
And it happened.
And it happened, dude. It happened. I mean, in a crazy manner, but it happened.
Yeah, that's true. I think Checo is Bottas to Max Verstappen because Max had Pierre Gasly, who was pretty quick, right? And he had a nice car, but he couldn't. He had different aspirations. Pierre Gasly wants to be Max Verstappen, pretty much. He wants to be in his position. But I think Checo was mature enough, and he knows who he is as a driver. Of course, he gave it a shot in the beginning and everything to finish P1. He wanted to win for the constructors, but even at the end, he knew his job was to get Max that championship, and he did it. And I would say not many people on the track would do that. I think it takes like a certain person to be like, all right, you know what? Let me put my goals aside and let's do something for the team. And yeah, just props to him. Even the defense at the end, the whole season was just legendary. And it's crazy to say that, even though he didn't have like crazy results.
He had a good season though.
Yeah, he had a good season here.
He had 1 win, like 4 podiums or something. He had 3 back-to-back podiums. So I think he had a really good season.
Did you say driver of the year?
I wouldn't say driver of the year. I'd probably put him like probably
Teammate of the year?
teammate of the year, definitely. Because Bottas, I don't know what happened there, dude. He stopped like kind of being there for Lewis. I think he kind of accepted. He's like, I'm not gonna be here anymore. That's not my fight. But I probably put him second driver of the year. Maybe not the driver of the year.
Definitely.
Everybody knows driver of the year was Kimi Räikkönen, of course.
Of course. Now moving on to the third place guy, Valtteri Bottas
Oh man!
from Mercedes-Benz.
You gotta let Mike take that one.
Yes.
I'm eating chips, but I'll go first.
Oh, it's just Ford, man.
So, when I first started watching this year, the first person that I started liking was Mr. Porridge Man himself, Valtteri Bottas. I just thought he was really like, I don't know, humble is the right word, or he's like stoic. Nothing really affects the guy. Even in the last race, you saw Lewis like with his head down, but then you see Valtteri Bottas like, what's going on over here? So I feel like he's just that type of dude. Like, nothing really affects him that much except for losing because he's a competitor. And I think next year he's going to put in some work. He's going to push Hamilton. And I could see a couple podiums for that guy. That's my bold prediction.
With Alpha?
Valtteri Bottas, at least 2 podiums.
Yeah, I think once Bottas had his future secured, we saw like a fat improvement in his performance. He started like driving quick as he could. He wasn't being like that perfect teammate for Hamilton. He didn't let him pass a few times. He took the fastest lap a few times. So arguably Bottas prevented Hamilton from getting those extra few points that he might have needed. Looks like Nick over here has something to say. But, you know, I think Bottas did have a good year. Yeah, he finished 3rd. Obviously, he did something right. He helped Mercedes win their 7th straight title. 8th. That's crazy. I think that's like
Credit where credit due.
that's a big accomplishment. Yeah, Hamilton's a little we have our own opinions about Hamilton over here, but Mercedes, I think they're the world oil machine. Finished with 8 straight, all of them in the turbo hybrid era. This is Mercedes era. So I think Nick has something to say about porridge.
Yeah, Porridge is respect to Porridge, dude. He's just a class act. That's all I have to say. He's just a good driver, respectful guy. Best of luck at Alpha, man.
Yeah, man. Later, Bottas. We'll see you at Alpha next year. But yeah, I thought something funny that happened to Bottas. So I don't think Benz would have the 8 constructor championships without Bottas, because before Bottas was Nico Rosberg, and if Nico Rosberg stayed, imagine the competition that Lewis would have fighting against Nico. So I feel like that could have taken away 1 or 2 championships, maybe even, who knows, maybe even more. But I think Bottas was the perfect man at the perfect time without them knowing, and he came in and he played second fiddle as best as you could. Of course, he has emotions too. He wants to win some races, and sometimes like the situation he's in, it's like it doesn't feel right. But in total, he did everything he had to. So now we're moving on to the top 2, and
we're gonna start with the second place Lou. All right, and now we're starting with second place. Finished number 2 with my man Lou. We're going to see what he can do, but, he didn't do much this year. He finished in second, obviously, but there was a lot of controversy involving Hamilton and Max. But Hamilton did drive a pretty damn good season, but I still think he handled some situations like a bitch, but you have to beep that out. But he definitely was. I think he wasn't used to not being number 1, like winning all the time, and I think that really affected him, because by like the middle of the season he already won the championship, and I think that kind of got to his head a little bit. He started making mistakes. He didn't know how to turn left in Baku. He started spinning out a few times, so like it was crazy. Looks like Mike over here wants to say something else.
I think Nick wants to say something too. But before I start, I just want to say that Hamilton also slammed into Max. Usually when someone breaks in front of you, you're supposed to move out the way, right? But anyways, I'm just joking. We'll touch on that later.
I mean, respect to Hamilton, a good driver. 7 championships, can't take that away from him. But yeah, he was acting a little childish here and there, or like when Checo was defending in the last race. He's like, that's dangerous. Driving. That's dangerous driving. But he would do the same thing like in previous races or years. So I don't know. He's just a racer, Like in the heat of the moment, they all say their stuff, but at the end of the day, like he shows the respect to all the other drivers.
He did shake his hand right afterwards.
And they all show him the respect because he kind of deserves it. He has 7 championships.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think he did have some sus moments throughout the year, and I think you're right, it was from the Max's pressure. But at the same time, I would say, like, no one else's lives are as scrutinized as the top 2 racers going into, like, a championship. Someone's going for his 8th, someone's going for his 1st, Yeah, so I feel like everything they do is just scrutinized. So I would say Lewis is a normal person, Max is a normal person, like, no one hates each other. It's all competition, and yeah, respect to Lewis. I was kind of waiting to see what he does after the race if Max won, if he was like not gonna say anything, but he went over there. He went over with his dad. He congratulated him. Like I was surprised. Even Toto said congratulations to Max, even like while doing the FIA stuff.
They didn't go to the award ceremony.
Yeah, they didn't go to the award ceremony, but I think the respect is there, and everybody knows that they're both good drivers. It's just one person had to win. And fortunately for us, Max won. Unfortunately for Benz fans,
somebody was going to be mad.
Somebody was going to be mad, like one way or the other. So on that note,
at least we weren't mad.
Yeah, at least we weren't mad. But we'll move on to 1, and the biggest Red Bull fan I know will start it off.
And finally, we are at the first place, the world champion of the 2021 Formula 1 season, Mr. Max Verstappen, the young lion.
Lion!
He fought like crazy with Hamilton throughout the whole season. I mean, totally just gave them like taste of their own medicine this year. You know what I'm saying? He's like, nah, not this year. It's not happening. And he came through. I mean, the last race, crazy miracle. But hey, he deserves it, man.
Had to happen.
He deserves it. The Red Bull team just deserves it.
Max Verstappen, 2021 world champion. That's something that sounds nice. It rolls off the tongue real nice. I think Max did some crazy things. He obviously deserves it. Whatever happened, like with the controversy and the whole everything, they went in tied. Max definitely deserves it. He had the most wins. I think he had 10 overall. Yeah. Most podiums. He was on the podium, I think, 14 times. And like 18? See, see? Like, yeah, the only time he didn't get on there was when he crashed out and when in Hungary, I think, or wherever, where Bottas took both the Red Bulls out. But he had like a bunch of fast laps. Like, it was like he didn't finish anywhere like lower than second. That which like except like in 4 races or something, which is crazy. And we got to give it to Max. So I'm gonna let Mike over here take the mic.
Yeah, so I think Max and the Red Bull team, they the reason why they did so good this year is because they came out with a different mentality. Everybody in the paddock, I remember Christian Horner was saying this in one of his speeches. He was saying, like, this season we came out with a goal that we're going to push Mercedes as hard as possible, and they're going to fight for every point. Literally fight for every point, and that's what they did. Throughout the whole season, it was literally neck and neck. Like, there was no room for mistakes, nothing. Lewis and Max had to be perfect, and both of them were pretty damn near perfect too, I have to say. But in saying that, I think Max showed a lot of maturity this season. In previous seasons, he's still been mature for his age since he was a driver, but this year he took it to a whole nother level and nothing affected that guy. This guy would have a crash, he would come back as if nothing happened. He would always stay in the middle. He was always neutral, nothing affected him. And at the end of the day, I think it's the mentality. He's just their like fearless leader, you know. And if your driver is going out there and he's doing everything he can, fighting for everything, and vice versa, if the crew pit, if everyone at headquarters is just doing everything they can, of course the driver naturally is going to want to do it too. So this was just like a culmination of all the hard effort they've all put in and the desire they all had to win. It finally paid off.
So that pretty much wraps up all of the drivers from this season of Formula One. It was a great season. I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was the first season I really watched like every race. And honestly, I look forward to watching it again in 2022 and probably making podcasts about every race. And speaking of the next podcast, the next episode will include our favorite highlights from the 2021 season, some of the crazy moments, some scary moments, the crashes, and just some of the best moments that really stood out to us and probably to everybody who watched it, really.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next episode. Later.